everyone, Kim here at Abundant Life Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh my goodness, I love this time of year. And it's large and in part because I like to do these roundup type of videos, top 10, top 5 deck videos. And I will be doing that on the channel this month. But I wanted to look ahead, look at decks that I am likely going to add to my collection or really leaning on, purchasing. And this year's list is quite shorter than my list for this year, for 2023. And here's why. I've made the decision that for 2024, I would like that year to be a depth year, meaning it will be a low buy, maybe even a no buy year for myself. Now, of course, loved ones and friends do gift me decks because they know I love them. And so that's their way of showing me love. It's my love language. And so they give me decks. I like to give other people decks. That perhaps will be going on. But many of you know I have done this before. I had a depth year in 2020 and it carried on. It was a depth year 2020 and then I did an additional 6 months of low buy into 2021. And I'm ready to revisit that. I would like to actually even start to cull a little bit of my collection, just a little bit. I feel good about my decks, but there are some that I know would be probably better off in hands that will use them. And so I'll be taking you all on that journey, I'm sure, just like I did with my 2020 depth year. But I did identify some decks that I definitely want to work with and definitely want to add to my collection. And so that's what we're going to be discussing today. I have come up with a short list of 5 decks, Tarot and Oracle. And that's a very short list because I want to say it was like 10 or 13 decks that I have for my deck wish list for 2023. This list is quite shorter, but it just means that these decks are actually really ones that I really, really want to work with. I'm probably going to add between now and my depth year. And I'm going to rank them. So what I'll do in this video, as I highlight each of the decks and discuss why I'm adding them to the list and why I want to work with them, they will have a ranking. So number 1 will be the most likely deck I'm adding to the collection. I mean, I could probably get all 5 of them, but number 1 will be held for the one that for sure is going to be coming to the collection. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's look at these decks that I am planning on adding to my collection. All right, so let's start with number 1. And number 1 is reserved for the deck that I would most likely add to my collection in the coming year ahead. This would be the Lunne Tarot, and it was my good friend Donna over at Artists and Oracles, she is on YouTube, who had shown me this deck and recommended it to me. We were in one of the reading labs that I host each month, and she was using the deck, and the Hierophant was what caught my eye. And I was like, oh yes, I really love the gentle energy of this deck. I love the color palette. I just the feel of it. And I was like, okay, I'm really feeling this deck. I really am. According to the website, it took 3 years to complete all 79 paintings from 2018 to early 2021. And this deck is available exclusively through the Game Crafters site. And that is important to know, my friends, because if you do look up the Lunne Tarot, you may find that there's other deck sellers that will say that they are selling the actual deck when in fact they're not. So just be sure in your collecting journey to vet your decks, especially if you're like me, you're very much resistant on adding counterfeits or, counterfeit decks to your collection. Then, just go to the creator's website first and foremost, and then branch out from there. So yeah, I am very excited about the Lunne Tarot. Like I said, the watercolors are gorgeous. and the gentleness of the deck is something that really calls to me. And I could really see myself working with this for both clients as well as readings for myself. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, so number 2 is reserved for Ciro Marchetti's Mystic Palette Tarot, the Muted Tone Edition. Now, I am going to show you some of the cards or the images from both the independent version as well as the Llewellyn edition. So right now, at the time of this recording of December 12, 2023, you can go to the creator's website and purchase the indie version for a reasonable price, I would say, for an indie deck. However, you may be called to work with the Llewellyn edition, which is due to come out on March. I think it's March 8th, 2024. And I'm kind of torn, to be honest, because part of me is like, you can never go wrong with getting the indie version. But the other part of me is I really do enjoy Llewellyn cardstock. It's less monetary investment when you're paying for a mass market deck. I do like some of the changes that I can tell just from the few cards that's made for the mass market versus the indie version. I think, it doesn't look like there's major changes from what I can see. But, I think that you need to be mindful of once it goes live, the Llewellyn edition, typically the creators who have indie versions will stop selling the indie version, okay? And then the only thing that'll be available, unless you go through third party, sellers, is going to be the mass market edition. So I'm going to sit with this one. I do know I want to add it. It looks like a deck I could work with. And what's funny is that it was the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti that I really, really connected with when I was first learning tarot. Like I was learning, with my Borderless Weight, Centennial Edition Tarot and the Morgan Greer for sure. But the deck that really made things click for me was the Gilded Tarot, surprisingly enough. It's not even really my favorite art style, but it just spoke to me. And so I'm hoping to rekindle that magic that I had with the Gilded Tarot with this Mystic Palette Tarot, the Tarot Muted Tone Edition. So yeah, that's my number 2. And I would say I'm very much likely going to add this to the collection. It's just a matter of, do I want the mass market or do I want the indie version? All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to number 3, and that is the Messages from the Ancestors Oracle deck. This is a 54 card deck. It is tarot size, and it is modern depictions of the African American experience from what I can tell. And what drew me to this deck, first and foremost, was that I went to Street Priestess Tarot's Etsy shop by way of my friend Giovanna Tisdale, and she recommended the Low Country Gullah Tarot deck to me. So I purchased that deck, the Low Country Gullah Tarot, as well as the African American Modern Black Tarot deck. And I got those 2 decks, and in my searching around the Etsy shop, I stumbled on this deck. And I was like, this Oracle deck that we're looking at here will work great with my African American Tarot deck, as well as my Low Country Gullah Tarot, as well as the couple of the other decks I have in my collection, like, for example, the Black Tarot and the Hoodoo Tarot. So I just find that I could really work with this deck as a standalone messages from the ancestors, or in conjunction with tarot decks. And I love, love, love the keywords. The keywords you have here is like fish fry, get together, grandma's kitchen or from scratch. We have here First Lady, and fishing, first cousins, and cards on the table, brown liquor. That's an interesting card. And I just was like really feeling it. It brings back certain nostalgic memories for me growing up. And my family is from the deep south of the United States. And so this deck really touches that part of me that misses that part of home. And I am looking forward to adding it to my collection. In fact, I've already favorited Street Priestess Tarot's shop. So that way, whenever I'm over at Etsy, I'll get reminders or get notifications of when she has added a new deck to her, offering. So yeah, I'm excited about this one for sure. All right, let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have the deck number 4 that I may be adding to the collection. And this one's called Uncover Your Past Lives Oracle. And it's a round deck. And it is 86 cards. I was recommended this deck by my friend Eva. And she also has a channel that I want to recommend to you all. So I'll be putting some recommendations of channels that are near and dear to me that are mentioned that I think you would enjoy, and I hope you check out. But we were also in Reading Lab, and we were talking about working with ancestors as well as past life energy. And she made this recommendation to me and to the others who were in attendance of this Reading Lab. And yes, it's round. Yes, that makes me a little nervous because I always feel like, will I use a round deck? Here's why I think this one will work. It's because of how this, how the treatment of this deck is. For example, we have here we don't have here, but I'm going to describe to you one of the cards. It says gestation period. Then on one side it says adulthood, childhood, maybe the golden years. And so it's, you can think about when you're doing a past life reading and that card would come up, it can give you the age range of the ancestor or the past life person that you're working with, right? Then we have here royalty as another card that's in the center. And then it's like, okay, on the edge of the circle, we have direct descendant, or let's see, it says disposed or loss of title on one side, illegitimate, and I can't see the other side. But you see here, like you could be a direct descendant of royalty, or you could have been a descendant, but then, you lost the title in your past life. So a round deck in this instance actually really works. It actually works. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to definitely put this on my short list of decks to consider adding to the collection, because I can see how it would work for those types of readings that I plan to further explore and to offer in 2024 for my clients. I've got to first do a lot of that work on myself and practice, but eventually that would be something I like to offer. And so this is why I thought I would like to add this to my collection. All right, let's move on. All right, number 5. This is the last one, my friends. Thank you for hanging out with me. So we have here the original Dark Shadow Oracle deck. And this is probably my most expensive one that I have added to my short wish list. Out of all the decks, the Tarot and the Oracle I've presented to you in this video today. Now, you all know that I am a professional reader. I do a lot of love readings, not just love readings, but interpersonal relationship readings. It could be with friends or family members. I do a lot of interpersonal relationship readings. And I'm always looking out for decks that really can get to the heart of the matter of what may be an issue with one person and another person. And exploring the shadow of a relationship issue and helping my clients to confront some shadow aspects that are hampering their relationship that they're asking about. So I am always on the hunt for these types of decks. I do have a preference when it comes to oracle decks that it be as close to tarot size as possible, and this card deck actually does that for me. And it has not just the main keyword, it has the 3 major keywords associated with this deck on there. So sometimes, when a card comes up, for example, regret, and you're tired of just using that word, but you need something else to, continue the conversation with the client or querent. On the regret card, it has shame, disgrace, or disappointed. And so those are also keywords that can trigger your intuition to go into a different path or to explore a different avenue as it relates to that theme of regret. So I did want to add a deck that I for sure would be working with clients for, and this would be one of them. I'm not saying that I wouldn't work with any of the decks I've presented to you all today with clients. That's not to say that, but this one specifically would be one that I am buying because I want to use it with excuse me, my friends, with clients. The other decks I've talked to you all today about could be decks that I could use primarily for readings for myself and maybe using them for clients. Whereas this deck, I'm going into it knowing that I would probably want to only use it with client readings. So yeah, friends, there you have it. That is my short wish list for 2024. Let me know what you think about the ones that I've shown you all today. What is on your wish list? We learn from one another. And each time I do this type of video, I never tire of reading your comments where you are sharing what's on your short wish list for the upcoming year. Or maybe you're like me, you're considering having a depth year or a low buy year, and you're not really thinking too much ahead in terms of what decks to add to the collection. Share that as well. I think we all learn and grow together when we're sharing in the comment section. And you may inspire someone with your recommendation on decks that you have been thinking about adding, or maybe you just purchased it like within the last couple of weeks. Let's hear from you. Do me a favor on your way out. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I have more videos coming, friends, and I will talk to you all soon. My dog is going crazy, so I take this as a sign for me to get off. Take care. Bye, my friends. Bye.